stuffed sermon, but this morning we are in the first week of Advent. We were in the children's service earlier, and someone said, "Wait, what's going on? Something changed." And I said, "Yes, what changed? The color. It's purple today. It was green before." I'm like, "Yes, okay, you caught on. There is a different church color. It is Advent. What is it? Why do we do it? We celebrate and remember Christ's first coming and anticipate a second coming. A lot of times we think that, the cross has happened, we're post-cross people, and so we're very different. We're just so different we don't even know what to do with the Old Testament anymore. We're so different from those people because we're people of the promise, people post-Jesus coming. But this is a time to remember we're not actually all that different than those that were waiting and hoping for something. In our world, we still sense there is darkness. Even though we have seen the light, we want more light. We want Jesus to come more and more fully. It is hope despite darkness. Can you use some hope today? Let us pray. Father, help us see your truth through Jesus Christ, who is the truth. Amen.
Amen.
Isaiah 2 is a prophecy that dares us to hope. Now, hope as a word is kind of weak in today's world. Hope used to be stronger. Hope usually now we just use as sort of a synonym for wish. And wishing has little to do with reality. Wishing has little to stand on. We should say, I wish I would win the lottery, but we say we hope we would win the lottery. Hope used to be stronger. Hope was more than a wish. Maybe hope has been watered down because this world to us seems so uncertain. But the prophet Isaiah has a vision concerning the southern kingdom of Judah. And if we can have the map up. This is the two kingdoms. Under Saul, really under David, really under his son Solomon, there was one united kingdom of Israel with the capital of Jerusalem. Now, if you see Jerusalem is in that orange area just underneath that line. But after King Solomon, it split into two kingdoms, the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah. And now the kingdom of Israel to the north was taken by the Assyrians. Half of the people, more than half, because the tribe of Judah had all of that. It was a really large tribe to the south, so they became the kingdom of Judah. So they are worried now. The Assyrians have taken our tribesmen. They are gone. Will they come for us? What will happen to us? It was a time of great darkness because what will happen to us? Will we be taken away into exile? We know from the Old Testament there were warnings about exile if we didn't follow God. They have been taken. What about us? Now Jerusalem, as we can see in the map, was in Judah. It was the capital city. It was the royal city. And it was, if you remember, David who said, we need the temple here. I have a house. I reside in it in my own palace. But God doesn't have a house. I want to build a house. And God said, no, you're not going to do that. Your son's going to do it. So King Solomon built a temple to God in Jerusalem. And it's on top of a hill. Jerusalem itself is on top of a I don't know if you could call it a mountain, if you've ever seen the Rocky Mountains or, Mount Everest. Those are huge. But it is a bit of a mountain. So whatever direction you come to Jerusalem, you go up to Jerusalem. Because it's on the top. If you come from the south, if you come from the north, east, west, you're always coming up. So if you see what Isaiah is doing in his prophecy is using this metaphor of saying, here is a mountain that the temple is on, Mount Zion, and one day it will become the largest of all mountains. Now, is he talking about, huge shifts of the plates underneath the earth so that there would be this huge mountain? Is he prophesying some physical formation? Of course not. He's not talking about that. He's talking about this will be the center. This will be the highest of all high places. High places were usually worshipped as, the God, being closer to God in some way. This mountain that is not that big of a mountain will be one day the largest of mountains. Not just for a divided kingdom, he says, but for the world. The world will come and worship at this mountain. and people will stream to it. Worship for the world would be centered in Jerusalem. According to this prophecy, the world would stream to Jerusalem. How many of y'all bought something on Black Friday? Anyone got really good deals on Black Friday? I see smiles. I don't see people wanting to raise their hand. Maybe they feel a little bit embarrassed. But I got some good deals and some Blu-rays. But I did it online. I didn't set foot in one store because it's crazy. Now, before the online deals were so good, it used to be really crazy to go to a physical store. I remember Lillian and I, maybe 6-7 years ago, we wanted something at Kohl's, and I don't remember what we necessarily really wanted, but we said, we're not going to, Chicago in November, we're not going to stay outside that long. It opens at 5. We'll get there 15 minutes before they open. We get there 15 minutes before we open. There's this huge line, really, really long line, and we stand in line, and we're waiting, and we're just told, well, we only have to wait 15 minutes. These poor souls, how long have they waited? Time comes, they open up the doors. Now, in Vernon Hills, suburbs of Chicago, there are 2 main entrances. They open up the one doors, and everyone's just politely walking in. Then everyone notices that they're opening every single door, meaning we don't have to stay in the line anymore. Meaning we can stream into Kohl's. And the line just breaks apart, atomizes, and everyone goes to all sorts of doors. And we're like, okay, I guess we're running now. We're all running, streaming into Kohl's because of the great deals of Kohl's. Now, Kohl's had something that we wanted at a good price, and we were willing to go out in the cold. We were willing to be a part of this huge stream of this massive humanity in this November pre-dawn morning. What could Israel possibly have that would make the world stream towards them in troves? What Black Friday sale could transcend national difference? It wasn't something to buy, we read in this passage. It was something to learn. Come. The nations, come to this great mountain, that God may teach us God's ways, that we may walk in God's paths. Instruction. The word of God going forth and the masses flocking in. What will this instruction be? Isaiah doesn't tell us specifically, but he tells us the result of that instruction. We as Christians worship and celebrate the fact that Jesus was the Word. Jesus was a living instruction. He taught us by example much more than he did by teaching in new ways. So we know that Jesus is the one, the long-awaited Messiah, the Christ, the one who would teach us in bodily form, in a life well lived. And Isaiah pulls this beautiful phrase that describes Jesus, a phrase so beautiful. If we could switch to the next picture. There was a work of art given to the United Nations from an artist in Russia. Charlie, if you mind. And we have this art that talks about this phrase that just stands out to us still today. They shall beat their swords into plowshares. So here's this man with a sword, and it says on the side, they shall beat their swords into plowshares. Sword, of course, is a sharp piece of metal used to cut out the flesh of another human being. It's a weapon of war. It's saying, taking this piece of technology, this piece of metal, we talk about Bronze Age, Iron Age, all this stuff, this piece of metal, it's very hard, very sharp, instead of using it to kill another human being made in the image of God, God will teach you, and in that teaching, you will transform this use of technology, instead of breaking up the flesh of another human being, breaking up the flesh of the earth, so that you can cultivate, so that you can grow, so that you can create, so that you can feed the hungry. It's a beautiful phrase that still today makes an impact. They shall beat their swords into plowshares. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. anyone really knows exactly who came first, Joel chapter 3 and Isaiah chapter 2 are opposites. Joel talks about war. They shall beat their plowshares into swords. They shall beat their pruning hooks into spears. Right? A pruning hook is a sharp, curved piece of metal to prune trees so that they might be more productive. Right? Again, this metaphor. I don't know who came first. I would like to think that Isaiah overturns Joel. Isaiah is saying, no, Joel, that's not actually the way. Yes, we want to see judgment. Yes, there's darkness. Yes, they're carrying away our people into exile, but the answer, the way forward is not more violence. The answer is not to go attack them now and carry our people back, plus their people, plus their cattle. No. The answer is in a new way, using our energy, using our technology, to bless one another, to create and to cultivate. We human beings have used tools since a long time ago. It is what makes us very, very unique in some ways. The amount of tools we use, we see tool use in other animals, but this is what really sets us apart. We're pretty limited as animals without tools. We can't do a whole lot. We're pretty vulnerable. But with the right tools, we can become very, very powerful. Has anyone seen the movie The Revenant with, oh my goodness, Leonardo DiCaprio? He finally won an Oscar because of it, right? Has anyone seen that movie? He's a very limited human being, and there is a scene that the whole movie pivots on with him versus a bear. Now, a human being without tools versus a bear, no contest, right? And so the whole drama of that scene really depends on, can he reach his gun? If he has a gun, he might have a chance against this bear. We're limited, but with the right tool, we can be strong. Our tools, our techniques, our technology make us stronger. But our tools, our techniques, and our technology are never neutral. They give us power for good, but they also give us power for evil. Freshman year, I was on the soccer team, and we had a great, great season, one of the best seasons our school ever had. But towards the end of the season, I got bumped on the knee by another soccer player, and it didn't seem like that big of a collision. But it hurt enough that I got subbed. I sat on the bench, and my leg just kind of hurt and just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, my knee. And I started being able to move it less and less and less until it was incredibly swollen and incredibly painful. And somehow I got home, somehow I slept that night, it was very painful. We went into the doctor the next morning, and he put an immobilizer on me so I wouldn't move it around. He said ice it and heat it so that you can stop the swelling but also get new blood flow under all of that. And then we'll see. So I came back later and the knee was down, the knee felt a lot better. And he said at the end of our talk together, he said, and my advice to you, okay, your advice to me, is stay away from guys with knives. And I was like, he was trying to be humorous, he was trying to be funny, he was trying to say, you will not need surgery. Stay away from guys with knives. But you usually don't talk about surgery that way, right? Like, all of us want to stay away from guys with knives, right? Especially in dark alleys. It's very, very dangerous when someone has a knife, right? A man with a knife. That sounds horrible. But he was saying, stay away from surgery. You're not going to need surgery. You probably ripped a piece of cartilage. One day you might be bending down to pick up a newspaper, and it might rip more, and then you'll need surgery. But for right now, stay away from guys with knives. A man with a knife can either be profoundly dangerous or can save a life, right? A man with a knife in a dark alley is a threat. A man with a knife on the operating table can save a life. A human being with a tool, but how will it be used? We humans are extremely powerful with the right tools. We can go in the ways of hope, as Isaiah presents, and use tools for building peace, for cultivating, for generating newness. Or we can go in the ways of vengeance that Joel presents and use our tools to wipe out our enemy. Many of you know we have a puppy, new puppy. And so we bought the puppy toys because you always buy puppy toys. And my boys have been having fun taking the toys and like kind of teasing him and playing with him in these toys. But as boys will do, suddenly the toys don't just become toys anymore. And they're just like, boom, boom, really hard. And it becomes a toy now has become a weapon, right? This technology, this thing that they have has become a weapon. We have to say, stop, slow down. That's not how the toy is used. You can hurt someone doing that. God's vision is that God would teach us. The nations are streaming towards this mountain because we're learning a new way of peace. And it's hard not to imagine that throughout human history, how people have been inspired by the work of Jesus, who turns things on their heads. We think of how Gandhi saw Jesus' way of nonviolence, and how nonviolence is now a sort of standard in the ways of changing and peacefully bringing revolution, civil rights, these other ways. God would teach us the ways of peace. God would tell us how to use our tools in the right way. You all have tools. I have tools. We have money, some more than others. We have talents, some more than others. We have degrees, some more than others. We have these things, but for what end? For what goal? This passage and the passage of Joel gives us two possibilities for the ways of creation, cultivation, the common good, or for dividing, for conquering, for destruction. Whenever a movement comes that defines itself primarily destructively, I think we can say it isn't of God. Jesus, the only time he sort of destroyed something was he destroyed the temple symbolically by overturning the tables, because the temple courts were meant to be for the nations to pray. But we can say that Jesus allowed himself to be destroyed by an instrument of death. Jesus took on destruction sacrificially. Jesus absorbed ultimate death, ultimate destruction, and somehow created and cultivated through it something different. Growing up, I don't know why his movies were so often on TV, but Steven Seagal's movies were always on TV. Anyone, I might be dating myself, Steven Seagal, he always had jet black hair, super tight ponytail, long ponytail. He had action movies that were always on TV, just always on TV, that we would watch. But he would do a martial art. I believe his martial art was Aikido. Is that right? Where Aikido is not so much doing anything really offensively, but it's taking the offense of another person, taking that energy from the other person, and deflecting it and neutralizing that person so that they stop attacking. So I don't really know how an Aikido person can really spar. I mean, one person just has to. Because one of my college friends was doing that. He's like, here, I just learned something today. Aikido, grab my shirt. And I'm like, no, I don't want to grab your shirt. No, grab my shirt. He has to force. I have to force an aggression on him to be able to see this. But I think Jesus is sort of like this spiritual Aikido master. Because all of this destruction and energy and evil is coming Jesus' way, and Jesus just deflects it and neutralizes it. Time and time again, people think they have the perfect trap for Jesus and say, I'm going to offend. I'm going to send a question your way, Jesus, and there's no right answer. And Jesus says, Jesus, I'm going to put you on a cross. Boom. Instead of ultimate death and destruction, I will bring life and newness out of it. Jesus does this time and time again. It takes wisdom beyond many of us to be able to do this, but this is the instruction of the Lord coming from Mount Zion that they were hoping for, that we have seen in Jesus, and that we're also called to embody. This is what we're supposed to learn. Now, hopefully none of us will get crucified anytime soon and have to try to, do that. That was the ultimate form of this deflection. But there are many, many ways that we're challenged on a daily basis. Lily and I went to a wedding of one of her longtime friends, Brazilian friends, who happens to live in New Jersey now. We went up on Black Friday to New Jersey and came back last night. And we drove through the city of New York, which was insane. And I don't want to do it ever again. But in New York, I'm like, I'm prepping myself. I'm actually talking to myself. Lily's like, would you like me to drive? I can drive. I'm prepping myself for this because I knew driving in New York would be a battle, right? And I can't turn the other cheek in driving in New York. It's an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. I have to, I won't be cut off. And all of this stuff just starts to build up. We get some traffic, and I remember reading an article about traffic, about how traffic comes in waves. And I don't see it so much here, but I remember seeing it in Chicago a lot. A lot of times the truckers would just keep a huge distance, huge buffer when they would see traffic coming. And they said, we're not sure if the truckers just get this naturally, but that's actually the right response. When you see traffic, it's not to pull up as soon as possible and slam on your brakes. It's to try to absorb the wave of traffic. To slow down, to see if that wave will sort of clear, and then you have a new normal. Does that make sense? It's absorbing evil. Every time that an evil word comes to you, and we do this to each other, whether we mean to or not, when my child says something or triggers something in me, and I get amped up, that's another opportunity. Do I give evil as I receive? My puppy, he's barking. What do? Again, every time these little opportunities, when your boss freaks out and yells at you, when your spouse is upset with you, all these times, can I absorb it and redirect it? Can I instead not bring back nastiness, but say, it sounds like you're having a rough day. Tell me what's going on. These ways in which we can subtly, instead of going sword to sword clashing, say, let's try to redirect and bring cultivation, bring goodness, bring new depth out of this. Jesus is our model. Jesus absorbs and redirects evil. Jesus took the most brutal punishment and execution that the most powerful empire in the world could devise. And he created it. He redeemed through it. He turned death on a cross into the source of life for many. What is your tool? What is your hunk of metal that can be forged into either a sword or a plow? What is your blessing to the world that you're tempted to make a curse for your own good? We all need serious reflection in this, but start with those small things. Start with those small interactions with the people you love. During the Christmas holidays, you'll have plenty of time to practice this. But start small and always imagine that there is a way, this hope that Isaiah shows us, that we can beat our swords into plowshares. God has brought us hope through Jesus Christ. This Advent, may God spark in you hope that God would indeed come and teach us the ways of peace. Let us pray. Lord, this beautiful turn of phrase that you inspired Isaiah to write, that we beat our swords into plowshares, still to this day sparks our imagination. This metaphor is profound. It's still in statues and places that are meant to promote peace throughout the world. But it is a challenge, Lord. It is a challenge to not use the gifts you've given for our own benefit, but to turn them, Lord. Help us to be these wonderful people that creatively take evil directed towards us and to redirect and redeem it for good. God, help us.